All right. Well, Coach, thanks a lot for having me on. I've been watching a lot of these, and it's just unbelievable what we've been able to do during this quarantine. I'd say the football coaching profession's handled this maybe better than anything. It's amazing, the professional development opportunities. I've fallen down the rabbit hole many evenings, while getting into roundtables and watching clinics and watching replays, and it's just been awesome. I don't know if I can give as much back, but I'll certainly try. We're going to talk about, kind of dressing up your offense a little bit, trying to create the appearance of complexity for the defense, and obviously just putting our kids in the best position to succeed, giving them some easy, cheap advantages that are really easy to install, and again, look very complex from the other side. I'm the coach at Columbus Academy, just outside Columbus, Ohio. There's my contact information. I'll give that again at the end. Anything I have, I'm happy to share. Guys, reach out, shoot me an email, give me a call, shoot me a text. There's my Twitter handle. But everything I've got in here has been stolen or borrowed or reviewed. I don't know if I got a single original idea, but I'm happy to share anything I've got. A little bit quickly about my background. I've been coaching for a while, a lot of different positions. Started out in Ohio when I was in college at Denison, went back to Virginia, coached there for a few years. Was lucky enough to get, when my wife got into dental school at OSU, was lucky enough to get a job at Licking Valley, which if you're outside Ohio, it's one of the more renowned programs, kind of a small school, rural school, about 45 minutes east of Columbus. Coach Boffman's been there over 30 years, one of the winningest coaches of all time, and one of the best men I've ever known. And nobody's had a bigger influence on me, certainly professionally. And just about everything we do at Academy, pretty much everything I've learned from him. From a coaching perspective, kind of started out my career on the offensive side, working with, running backs, quarterbacks, receivers, moved over to defense. I was lucky enough to be the defensive coordinator for a while at Licking Valley. And again, that gave me that other side of the ball perspective, which really helped me and made me certainly better coach and definitely better offensive coach. As now I'm back calling the offense for Academy. And being able to see both sides, as plenty of coaches know, has been super beneficial. I'm just more well-rounded, and you understand what defenses are thinking. Real quick about Academy. It's an independent school, pre-K through actually 3-year-olds through 12th grade. About 100 kids each class. So we got about 190 boys in the high school, and again, about a quarter of them playing football. So we're lucky. We got wonderful kids, wonderful families. If we have 52 guys on a roster, we might only have 5 or 10 true football players. The rest of them, they might be lacrosse first, baseball first, basketball first. They might play football just because it's fun. Again, they're phenomenal kids, and they'll do what we ask. But it's not like we got 50, grinded out, tough, hard-nosed, true football players. We got to make the best of what we have, coach them up. So we're fairly small. We're in Division 5. There's 7 in Ohio, and Division 1 is the biggest. So we're in 5. We got a good history of football and athletics in general at our school, with 2 state championships. It had just taken a bit of a dip those last few years, and numbers were struggling like they are at a lot of schools, and struggling to get, even back to 500 for a little bit there. And it's just things that got a bit stale. I was lucky enough to get the job, and we've been turning things around, making the playoffs, having winning records regularly, and building our numbers back up, which we obviously need to do. You need to get a good talent base. We've been very involved with our 5th and 6th grade program, and then up into the middle school, so we can, increase the amount of kids participating. And things are going in the right direction. It helps. We got great admin, great support, just great kids in general. I'm really lucky to be at Academy. Very happy there. And my daughter started kindergarten there this past year, and we love it. So real quick about our offense, we're spread. I mean, that's the most cliche term. Pretty much 2x2, 3x1, predominantly a little bit of empty, a little bit of 2-back. But we kind of live in the 11 personnel world, a little bit of 10 personnel, and again, some 20 personnel. We aim to be balanced. And this past year, we were actually exactly 50-50 run and pass. You can see there we run, inside zone, outside zone, a little bit of jet and fake jet, kind of a one-back power play. We call it dart, but it's not your typical dart. It's the guard. It's just pulling the guard instead of the backside tackle. And then we run counter, really 4 different ways. Kids learn the same rules, and we can just dress it up. Quick game, drop back, sprint out, play action, screens. We love our screen package. And then we've built up our RPO arsenal the last couple of years, although it's mainly pre-snap RPOs. We're not very fancy, and it's a way we can get into tempo. It's just one words and what a lot of guys are doing. So today, getting to the goal of today, we're going to talk about window dressing, and our primary purpose. We want to make it look very, very complex to the defense while keeping it simple for us and our kids. We want to create, indecision, confusion on those guys' parts because they're, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, and their coordinator on the sideline or up in the box. We're trying to make him not quite certain what we're going to do. We want that miscommunication. We want last-second changes, increase the likelihood that they're going to make a mistake, that they're going to second-guess the call or what their responsibility or where their eyes should be. And if we can, it just takes one of their 11 to be confused, be misaligned, be looking in the wrong place, and we might have a chance to have a big play or a score. And it's just so cheap for us. It's so easy for us to tag it. Any of our plays running the same stuff, and we just tag it with one shift, one motion. That's quick, easy for us. And to the offense, whether they're scouting us on film or that night, it might look like a brand new play to them. So we're able to run fewer total things, and thus, of course, practice fewer total things. But it might look like we're running a lot of different stuff. So the ways we do it, kind of the bucket, so to speak, tweaks to the formations, and this certainly won't be anything really new. Changing the backfield set, maybe putting something out there that's a little bit funky looking, whether it's unbalanced or a stack or a bunch, condense things. We do a lot. Again, I said we live in the 11 personnel world. We do a lot with a tight end, wing. Some teams call it an H-back. It's just our Y. Might be attached, hand in the dirt, might be in a wing, might be shuffling across, might be trading across. And again, I'll show you some of that. That gives you a ton of flexibility, I think. Then there's times we try to give our players choice, flexibility in what they do, how they align. And I'll get into that. Obviously motions, shifts, and then some just cheap, easy run fakes that I'll show you at the end. Very, very cheap, very easy for us to do. So our doubles, the tweaks on this, again, I don't think this will be anything you guys don't have. We got regular doubles up there, and then we can condense it. It might look totally new. It could be for a certain advantage for us. It might just be to dress up the play, make it look different. And we can do anything with who's on, who's off. Sometimes giving the kids choices. Sometimes we're telling them. Sometimes it matters. Sometimes it doesn't. But I've been on the defensive side, and I know those guys are thinking, hold on, if this guy's on, it means he's going deep. And really, it could be a screen clear to the other side or run the other way. We do stuff with the tight end attached, hand in the dirt, or as a wing, as you guys can see. Stack it to one side. I know guys could help you with a quick screen. Could just be window dressing, or double stack to both sides, double stack condensed. I think that can help us. Again, this is nothing really new. Just showing you some of our basics. We run trips 2 different ways in terms of personnel and who's where. Obviously, you could put a nub to the backside or have them fairly close. Have that tight end in the dirt with whether you call that tray or trio, or that wing, and then his ability to motion back across, shuffle across, trade across. And again, I'll get into that. Have that bunch. I think the bunch can be really good, whether they're out wide or even better if they're tight to the formation. There's a lot we can do. And I know teams are using that for a reason, because it's awfully tough, especially down in the red zone when a lot of guys go to man. It's just unbelievable how easy it can be to free someone up. And then empty. We've dabbled more and more in that as the years have gone on, and as I've gotten more comfortable with, protections. I think it's awfully good, whether we're motioning to empty, or maybe starting empty, and we might bring the back back end, or any number of the receivers. But if this kid is maybe a hybrid, like a lot of schools have, our T's, our running backs are pretty versatile, flexible kids who very well could be receivers. So why wouldn't we want to put them out wide? And again, shifting to this, motioning to this, starting in the backfield, motioning them out wide, or starting them out wide and motioning them back into the backfield. That last second indecision, and I'll show you some of that as we go on. So the backfield set, again, when I was on the defensive side, one of the main things I got to look at was, the set of that back. Is he in the pistol? Is he offset? If he's offset, what does that mean? I know there's a ton of defensive coordinators who they might set like their 3 technique, whether it's to the back, away from the back, but that could play a big part in how they set their front, how they call their strength. And it for a lot of our plays, it doesn't matter if he's in the pistol, if he's what we call minus, away from the point of attack, we call it plus. If he's a little bit deeper, if he's even with the quarterback, or if he's even a bit in front. We have a ton of flexibility in our offense and our run game. And then what we call jump, where he starts in the pistol, and then, just those few seconds before the snap, he's quickly moving to a plus or minus position has been very good for us. And again, having been on the defensive side, that last second, indecision can pay dividends for you. And then there's plenty of times where we let our backs choose. As long as they're on the same page, as long as the running back and the quarterback are on the same page, a lot of times we let them pick. We might have some rules based on a certain blocking scheme. This has to be either pistol, run from pistol, or minus, say. Can't do it from plus or something because the quarterbacks can't see the read maybe. But as long as they know the basic structure, the basic rules, their parameters kind of, if they have that flexibility, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, they get kind of excited and they think they've got this autonomy when, to us, to the coaching staff, it really doesn't matter. So that choice, as long as they're on the same page, if they're jumping from pistol to minus, as long as they both know, the quarterback know he's expecting him to come over there to his left, to be ready for to ride that fake or give it, we're good. And again, just about every one of our plays can be run from at least 2 spots. Sometimes it's 3, maybe 4 different ways, alignments. And that flexibility has been big for us. Again, I was on the defensive side, and if that's not a tell, the set of the back, if that doesn't give them any information, then that's a win for the offense right there. As far as motion, again, I said we run some jet, we run a lot of jet, and then that fake jet off of it can be good. Whether teams are, rotating the coverage, spinning a safety down, and opening things up for counter back the other way, or a run inside, or a quick screen, or could be a downfield pass. Those safeties might be coming downhill in cover 4, running the alley, and you're able to hit a pop pass or a seam right behind them. Things are open up. They have to respect that jet, that fake jet. They have to respect the motion, or you're going to just kill them with it all day long. So that's one. Again, I'm not showing you guys anything most teams don't have. Here's the return motion, starting in empty, coming back into the backfield. One that's been real good to us has been our stack motion, whether it's especially if you're getting man coverage. But as we motion in, we can, Z stack, X stack in behind the H, bring those guys for free releases to help with blocking, to help with cracks. Has been big for us. I can show you a few examples here if you guys can see those. These are just 2 quick, easy ones. These are great in the red zone. They've been good for us on 2-point plays, but really anywhere inside once you get inside the 10, and you can run any of your routes with it. But if the team is trying to man, or if the guy who's off the ball, if that's maybe your best receiver, get him stacked in behind, then the defenders don't know if he's going vertical, if he's going out, if he's going in, is he's going to catch a screen, or it could just be eye candy. It could be a diversion, and you're running it to the other side or throwing it to the backside receiver. But to free guys up if we're facing man coverage has been great for us. And the actual routes, that's up to you. You could run almost your entire offense there. That's up to you. And we put a lot of impetus, a lot of responsibility on that lead guy, the guy who's in front. He's got to be a man. He's got to run through probably going to be press coverage and pretty aggressive press coverage. He's got to get through. If he gets held up and gets knocked back, then the guy who's stacked in behind doesn't have a prayer. So those guys either get excited almost like an ISO fullback kind of back in the day. So that's been good for us. And then flop motion. It's very similar, but just instead of stopping in behind, he continues to go. So if we've shown stack on film or even earlier in that game a couple times, and that outside guy starts in motion coming underneath, the defense, obviously, they don't know, is he going to stop and get stacked in behind, or is he going to continue? If we run flop and he comes all the way inside, now all those guys know they just traded jobs. So he can get reset, or we can snap the ball with him kind of, still shuffling his feet, maintaining that motion. And all those guys have done is just change responsibilities. So if it's a pass play, now the guy who was the Z outside, he motions inside of the Y. Now this guy's the new Z. He's outside, he's the number one. And the guy who started out as number one, the Z, is inside, and he's the Y. So they just traded jobs, whatever the routes might be. And, of course, you got different blocking angles, creating advantage for you if you're running sweep that way. That Z can flop inside and maybe set a good crack block. Or it's been really good for us, like third and long in the middle of the field. We might flop that guy inside. If he's a speed guy, we can flop him inside, get ahead of steam. Almost like arena league where they used to go in motion going forward. If this guy's gets ahead of steam coming across, and then he can go on a full speed drag maybe, or a return route, coming underneath everything. We've killed teams with that kind of ton of yardage. It's always been good for us. And going back real quick, obviously if you want to isolate, say, the Z on a different defender, put him on a safety, on an outside back, or on a nickel instead of maybe who was their best corner, who needs to stay outside or something, then that's a win for you guys as well. Here's an example of that full speed drag has always been good, or that return motion, whether it's man or zone, can create mismatches and improve blocking angles. It's just so easy for us and easy to install, easy to teach, and it can be a win. Here's the crack coming across. Again, defense, they're communicating. I got 22. I got 15, and suddenly, this backer in here is getting smashed in the ear hole. Can create a lot of confusion. Our running back motion out of the backfield. A lot of teams are doing this. You can set them up, throw them a quick screen out there in the flat. Maybe it lightens the box for you to run it back inside. If you're doing this out of two back, you motion one out, and then just lighten that box and just run inside zone the other way. But one of those backers had to leave. Maybe a safety came down over the top, opening up a seam or post for or glance route, maybe for the slot receiver. Again, this is nothing that most teams aren't doing, but you see just about every college team doing this for a reason. It can be awfully good. We'll do stuff, motion them out there, throw that quick screen, do that a few times, motion them out there, fake this, pump the quick screen, throw a slant in behind. Next time, motion them out, pump the quick screen, and it's quarterback counter the other way. That defense has to truly defend every blade of grass. Here's some examples, push them out there, and we've thrown the screen that is just such an easy 3, 4, 5 yards at the minimum, and then throw the fake screen in behind. Here's an example, pump it out there and quarterback counter, or like I said, out of two back, push motion, the far back, and then it's just inside zone, just your simple stuff. The line. What I love being able to tell our linemen is, it doesn't matter. You hear push, you hear flow, you hear Z flop, X stack, like they don't care. It means absolutely nothing to them. And the ways you can keep it simple for them and same as for them, especially, is very, very good. Tight end, again, we're at 11 personnel a ton. I love tight ends. I love tight end bodies. Not every school has them. Sometimes sometimes it's a taller, lankier basketball guy who's not the world's best blocker, but he can get a jump ball in the red zone. Sometimes it's a a fullback. Maybe it's a slower receiver who's blossomed in the weight room. Our tight ends at the high school level, of course, don't always look like tight ends at the college or pro level, but that's okay. If he's a willing blocker and athletic enough to run into the flat, run some seams, run quick outs, make himself available in the pass game, he doesn't have to run the entire route tree by any means. But if he's a smart player, can remember some things, get moving around and sell different looks for you, that's a weapon. That's kind of a Swiss Army knife, and that's our move guy and our big adjuster if we're in 11 personnel. Again, we do it different ways. Might be nub, might be attached right next to the tackle, hand to the ground. Probably predominantly he's in a wing. And then sometimes he can even be split out wide, whether he's the number one receiver, number two, number three, putting him in different spots or starting him out wide and motioning him back in is a way to disguise. We shuffle them, we trade them, we return them, and sometimes it's just like the running back. Sometimes it's that flexibility. We tell them, as long as when the ball snapped, if you're able to get to where you need to be, I'm good. The older, the more experienced that player is, we'll give him more flexibility, more responsibility. So here's the trade. Everyone has this: starting on one side, trading across, getting reset on the other side. And our kids know, it was 2x2, and he's motioning across. Now it's 3x1. Was 3x1. Now it's 2x2. So we can change the strength, altering gap responsibilities. It was the Sam over there, maybe on the tight end side when he traded across. Is that guy going to run across, or Sam nickel, whatever? Or are they going to bump? Is he going to come inside and now he's the Will, the Mike becomes the Sam, and you're trading all these jobs, and it's that indecision on the part of the defense. Is the three in the shade going to bump? Are they going to flop? Are they going to move at all? Some teams don't respect it at all, and then you might have a numbers advantage over there on the new side, on the new strength. Rotating safeties, obviously, can be very, very good. Once he trades across, he can lead on a front side run, on a sweep, on a stretch play. He can slice back across, wham the backside, leak back out into the flats, or lead on counter tray. We do a ton of GY counter tray. Pretty much your entire playbook is still at your disposal. While those defenders are having to make all those last second changes, last second decisions. In August, our defense practices against all these types of looks, and we make our decisions then. When this guy goes across, again, are we trading that guy to go with him? We just flop and changing responsibilities. But if they haven't taken care of business, out of their eyes, cross their T's, you might have a major advantage. Here's our shuffle motion. This is one where he's got some responsibility, and so does the quarterback, because he might not be shuffling all the way across to the wing on the other side. He could be shuffling partway across and leading up in either B gap or A gap on a Y insert play. He could shuffle partway across, and then it's boot back to the side he came from, and he's got to leak back across that flat. Maybe he's shuffling across, and then the ball snapped, and he's somewhere in the either A or B gap, and he's got to kick someone out, lead back across on a run. Maybe we're giving him a head of steam to get into a route. But as long as the quarterback and the Y knows where he needs to be, we're good. Once he starts in that shuffle, defense is thinking, is it trade? Is he coming all the way across? But they have to be ready for the ball to be snapped. They can't take that time. This sort of, in a lot of ways, the Y shuffle is sort of a way to protect your trade, because they need to be ready for us to snap that ball at any point. Taxi. We started doing this. Again, a lot of teams do this, but say this kid's a stud, and the defense is trying to match him up cover him with a certain corner, a certain defender. We always start him out just split out wide to the left, or in this formation, he's always in the slot on this side or to the field. It's not that hard for the defense to find him and know where he's going to line up. We start him in the backfield, though, Those corners have to declare, safeties have to declare, that certain defender maybe you're trying to get away from has to declare. He's got to be somewhere. And so we'll just say taxi to, north, taxi to doubles left, and he starts in the backfield and then motions out into that new spot. And again, the defense they're scrambling. Are they trading job? The corner who was on the right side, now he's got to come all the way over to the left side, or the nickel defender, whoever it is, you might be trying to avoid, is scrambling, left scrambling a little bit. So that's just a way to protect if you have a stud or if that defense has a stud you're trying to get away from. Swap has been good. This is another one we got from Coach Boff in the Valley. It's where we're just trading two guys pre-snap, and you get a major numbers advantage, but both guys pick up and go. So if you're in trips right, number 2 and number 3 go at the same time, get reset on the new side, and throw a quick screen over there. Could run the other way, get 2 more, blockers at the point of attack. We're running, say, 29 pitch. But when we started doing that, it's double the fun. It's double the changes those defenders need to make. Been great for us. We can really quickly snap the ball after they get there, catching them off guard, run that quick screen. Or maybe if you're trying to protect a certain receiver, now that – I'll go back a second here. Now this guy's the new number 1. And maybe he's on a lesser corner now. Instead of being on that boundary corner, maybe he's on the field corner. And just a way to create mismatches. We love doing it into the boundary. Obviously, that's kind of all the rage at the high school level with our wide hashes. Setting that formation into the boundary can be really good. Some teams refuse to make a ton of adjustments, spinning safeties down or bumping too wide. If they don't respect it, we can be able to get a numbers advantage over there. And then scatter. Kids love this. This is just line up anywhere you want as long as it's a legal formation. And then on the quarterback's command, they're going to scatter 2 trips right, scatter 2 doubles left. When we first put this in, and we preached it as such, we taught the kids that have some fun with this. When we first put it in, they were a little too crazy. We'd have like a dude, his butt was to the line of scrimmage, and someone else was, sniffing the guard who would never be there, and it was just crazy. I said, start anywhere you want as long as it's legal formation. They have to be able to. We have to make the defense respect it before we move, and it's got to look like something we might possibly run. And then once they scatter to where they need to be, again, the defense is scrambling, they're second guessing, they're communicating. It's great for red zone stuff. It's a place I love it. It's great on third down, third and short. And it's been good. Sometimes we'll do it on a 2-point play because they got to line up and defend, of course, the initial formation. And then once you scatter, it might be something brand new. This is one of the final things I have. Just cheap run fakes. We started doing this. It's just a faking your inside run game. It might just be faking inside zone. We call it Rita to the right, Linda to the left. And we can run pretty much anything we have. You can also fake outside zone, Rosie and Lorna, and our kids know it. A really, really easy way to get play action without changing your play. You can tag one of these with one of your base play action plays or one of your base passing plays. We tell the kid that the running back, as long as he's able to get into his protection responsibilities, then I'm good. It doesn't have to be the world's best fake. We, of course, have a true play action package, but this is a way to run any of our passing plays, our base plays, just with that quick, easy fake. And it doesn't throw stuff off. We're not so based on timing for the quarterback that, that third foot hits the ground. It's got to be out. We're not like that. So kind of a token fake for him. He's able to still get into his drop and be making his read. But we got what we wanted in terms of inviting one linebacker up, 2 linebackers up, maybe a safety coming down, cover 4 safety when he reads run. And it's very, very easy for us. And I always try to keep in mind that those guys over there, the linebackers, that kid's, the Will is 15 years old. He was a backup. He's starting his first game, and he's nervous as heck. The Mike, great. He's 18. He's got a mustache, but he just got dumped by his girlfriend. Those guys have problems too. We're not playing against, Darren Lee and NFL guys. We're not playing against Ohio State's defense. They're having issues being confused, communicating with each other. Even if there's a guy over there who understands what's happening, he could be the smartest high school football player in the world, but just because he knows it doesn't mean he can get his 10 teammates lined up just like that right before the snap. And our kids, another benefit is our kids have fun with it. Having that autonomy, that control, they think they're doing something like, I pick where I get to go, and they love it. Maybe it's because they see it on TV. They see the OSU players or guys in the NFL running this motion or that shift, or that trade, or Buckeyes running backs doing jump all the time, starting pistol and jumping across. And that's just fun for them, and means nothing to us coaches. And ultimately, you're able to run fewer overall plays. Thus, you're able to practice those plays better. I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of you guys on that, but I remember my first year at Academy, I was calling the offense, and I would not only get so frustrated with you're trying to dictate the defensive alignment by your formation. And if we do this and tight ends here and fullbacks there, well, I know there'll be, strength to that side, and that's where the 3 is, and that's who we're trying to trap. And defense doesn't have to do that, and they'd come out in something else, and we didn't have a way to flip it or switch it to the opposite. Or my players are like, Coach, you told us 3 would be over here, and now he's over there, and that used to just kill me. I'd be spending that Thursday trying to run what felt like 1,000 plays, and now we're able to practice, get higher quality reps to fewer plays. Our linemen are running the same plays over and over again because they don't care about Z flop or Y trade or anything like that. So they're blocking the same pass pros. They're blocking the same run plays over and over again. And you guys are just getting better and better and better at it as a team. Obviously giving yourself just a better chance of having success. This is just our fake. So this would be Linda right here, faking inside zone. Rita would be to the right, faking outside zone, kind of a stretch or a jet look. Rosie to the right, Lauren to the left. And again, that's just so easy for us. And again, we still have our play action package. This is just a quick addition. Or we can set up an inside run play. We might fake like this one right here on the left. This would be Linda. We might be running the quarterback to the right. Everyone's got that fake. That's our way of calling it, rather than calling it like, Q trap to the right or something. Maybe we'd say doubles, Linda, 12 gut running inside zone to the other side. That's our easy way of making the fake. So that's all I got. I'll put up my contact information up here again. Again, don't hesitate. Shoot me an email. Give me a text. You can find me on Twitter, post some stuff on there. I wanted to be quick, give you guys some stuff. Hopefully you can take back to your teams. Maybe it's just something. If you just took one thing, that's a win. I sit on these, and you're not going to take everything, but if I sit in on a clinic and I'm able to, that's a good idea. I can take it back to my program, then I'm always happy.